All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're breaking down one of the most important relationships in the entire Safari world, the one between a guide and a tracker. This whole explainer is designed to give you everything you need to know to walk into that Phase 1 quiz feeling totally confident. Let's get to it.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a foundation, trust and respect. Then we'll cover the golden rules of communication. After that, we'll see what great teamwork actually looks like in the field, tackle some of those tricky common scenarios, and then wrap it all up with a super fast checklist to make sure you're ready to go.
First up, the foundation. See, before we get into any of the how-tos, we really need to get the why. Everything, and I mean everything you do as a team out there, is built on trust and mutual respect. This isn't just some fluffy, nice-to-have idea. It is the absolute core of the Simbavati experience.
Okay, pay close attention to this slide, because this right here, this is the answer to the very first question on your quiz. What's the #1 goal of the guide and tracker relationship? It's simple: to work together to make the guest's experience better. It's not about who's the star of the show. It's always about the guest.
So, how do we actually build that partnership? Well, it all starts with mutual respect, which, heads up, is another big quiz topic. And the key word here is trust. Trusting each other's skills. You gotta remember, Simbavati hired both of you because you bring different, amazing abilities to the table. You have to trust that, appreciate what each other does, and support your partner, especially if they're new.
And this just lays it out perfectly. There are two paths you can go down. On one side, you've got insecurity, and that's a total team killer. It leads to trying to one-up your partner, competing for attention, and it just ruins the vibe for the guests. But on the other side, a real partnership that's built on trust, and it leads to an absolutely exceptional safari where you both shine.
Okay, let's move on to our next section, which builds right on top of that foundation. All the trust in the world doesn't mean much without clear, professional communication. And these aren't just, suggestions. These are the golden rules for making sure you and your tracker operate like a single, well-oiled machine.
You are absolutely going to want to know this protocol for your quiz. Rule #1, everything you say and do has to support a seamless guest experience. #2, and this one is huge, you never argue in front of guests. Period. If you disagree about a track, you make a mental note, and you talk about it later, away from everyone. And third, if there's an issue between you two, you deal with it, privately, respectfully, and as soon as you can.
And just to really hammer that point home, here it is, pulled word for word from your study notes. This quote is literally the answer to a quiz question. Disagreements get handled in private. It's about professionalism. No exceptions.
Okay, so we've got the principles down. Now let's put them into practice. This whole next section is about how you take that partnership and make it something real and visible for your guests when you're on a drive.
Let's start with a classic scenario, and yep, you guessed it, another quiz question. Your tracker, who's got eyes like a hawk, just spotted fresh leopard tracks. The energy in the vehicle is electric. So, what do you do next as the guide?
Now, before we get to the specific answer, just remember this one guiding principle. The Simbavati way is to always elevate your partner. This is a golden opportunity to showcase the incredible skill sitting right there on the front of that vehicle. This moment is for them.
And boom, there's your answer. You turn the spotlight over to them, you encourage your tracker to explain to the guests what they're seeing. When you do that, you're not just showing respect, you're highlighting their incredible expertise and making the experience so much deeper and more interesting for everyone. And this doesn't just apply to big dramatic moments like finding leopard tracks. A really great guide is constantly looking for opportunities to bring their tracker into the conversation. Maybe it's asking them about traditional uses for a plant, or to share a personal story from the bush. It makes the entire safari feel so much more authentic.
All right, now that we know how to bring our tracker into the fold, let's get into some specific situations. Think of this next section as your playbook for dealing with those common, sometimes tricky moments that you will definitely see both on the quiz and out on the bush.
Okay, this table is pretty much your ultimate quiz cheat sheet. So let's run through it. A guest interrupts the tracker while they're talking. You politely jump in and hand the conversation back to them, reinforcing their expertise. Your tracker gets a question and isn't sure of the answer. You step in and support them, just like any good teammate would. A guest asks why the tracker is so quiet. You explain that they're laser-focused on finding amazing things for everyone to see. And tension, we already know this one, handle it privately. Every single one of these scenarios is on your quiz.
All right, we're in the home stretch. We've covered the foundation, the rules, and how to apply them. Now it's time for our final section, a really quick review to make sure these key ideas are locked in your brain before you take that test.
Let's just boil it all down. If you remember anything, remember these 4 pillars. 1. The main goal is always the guest experience. 2. The foundation is respect built on trust. 3. The golden rule is that disagreements are always private. And 4. The method is to always support and elevate your partner. Get those 4 and you're golden.
And really, this is what it all comes down to. A strong, respectful partnership isn't just a process you follow. It's the magic ingredient that turns a good safari into a truly unforgettable, life-changing experience for your guests. So, one last check before you go. Before you start that quiz, just ask yourself this. Can you explain, in your own words, why it is so important that disagreements are always handled privately? If you can answer that, you've really got it. You understand the core of this partnership. Okay, good luck. You've totally got this.